I was not there. I couldn't do anything, so just the feeling of helplessness, I've never felt it so much in my life. About March, I was deployed to Honduras and I got a FaceTime call on the computer saying, hey, your son's got something in his stomach. We're gonna go to the emergency room and we're gonna try to figure out what it is. They take him to the hospital. The first doctor checks it. He checks his stomach, and luckily my wife was there and my mother was there, Tracy Starr, and they're sitting there watching them do it, and this doctor decides at the end of it, he's probably got some gas or something. Luckily, my mom, she's pretty stubborn, and she wanted to get a second opinion. And the second opinion was he's got a tumor in his stomach. So they ended up getting him on an ambulance and getting him to Cook's there in Dallas-Fort Worth area. My mom made the statement while they're in the first hospital, and she said, I would have never believed your wife if she would have said this, but we watched his stomach grow in front of our eyes. So this tumor was the size of his liver, was the first one. He ended up having 3 tumors, one the size of his liver, one behind his liver, and one in his neck the size of a golf ball.
My world stopped. It was hard because he wasn't here, because we just went through this with my stepmother. She just passed away, hadn't even been a year yet. It was hard, but we did it.
Luckily though, I had a good boss, Jake Gelinio, Lieutenant Colonel of the Air Force, and I told him, hey, my son is sick, and if it gets worse, I'm gonna buy me a flight and head back that way to the US. And he goes, fine, get on that plane, you go as soon as you need to. Next day, I was in the hospital with him and then started our journey of Burkitt Lymphoma, which was the type of cancer that he had, which attacks the lymph nodes. Throughout the experience, we couldn't really do too much. All we could do is really just hang out with him and try to make him feel as comfortable as possible. And he was a champ through the entire thing. The only time he really complained is when he had some chemo put into his spinal cord, which I think no matter if you were 3-year-old or 30 years old, you would still feel like that hurts and this is very uncomfortable. I wasn't towards the end of it until he started losing his hair, which as you can tell right now, he has grown back most of it, which is good. But he had a bunch of just single strand hairs that were hanging off of his head, and it wasn't for the longest time that he decided to shave his head, and he asked me to shave it with him, so we ended up having bald heads for a while. And it seemed like every time, because we would do different phases, that there would be something that would go wrong. So first time it'd be his counts were low, so we'd end up staying extra days in the hospital. What we'd do afterwards is we'd stay in the local area and we'd go to Ronald McDonald House. We'd stay there, get his counts up, come back home for a few weeks. I would do my job a little bit, and I'd teach a couple classes, and then we'd go back and start the next phase, and then something else would go wrong. And it seemed to be that way for 4 months. It was tough for us as parents to deal with because there wasn't a lot that we could do. All we could do was just kind of hang out and wait and just kind of watch the process and go through it with them.
Don't feel like it's your fault. Because I, for a long time, thought it was my fault. And it's hard to explain why, but as a mom, you're like, my child's sick, it's my fault. Don't blame yourself. Just breathe, relax, and try not to stress about it, because it's not going to help anybody if you stress. Just be there. And then it's okay to break down and be sad.